Welcome to Wellness Tea Time with Dr. Rita. My name is Dr. Rita Sonko, a public health physician. I am the host of this show, and I aim to help you engage with different guests to understand more about mental health. Remember, Toli Weka, you're not alone. It's very important for us to break the stigma and break the silence about mental health. Tea Time with Dr. Rita. I have a fantastically special moment here talking to Olive. Olive, welcome.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rita.
Yeah, I'm so excited to have you.
Me too.
Olive Namutebi is here with me. And Olive, would you please tell our viewers a little bit about yourself? Who is Olive? Yeah?
Good. Feeling excited to be at a tea time with Dr. Rita. Olive Namutebi is my name, and Olive is a woman with albinism. To begin with, I love that identity. Olive, born and raised in Uganda. Olive is a mother of one son.
Yeah.
And she was raised by a single mother.
Right.
Those are the highlights of who Olive is. My education background, an accountant by profession, turned into a social activist. So really, that is Olive.
Wow, wow. So you trained as an accountant and had some experience in the banking and stuff like that, the books. Of accounts.
My journey actually in the career side, wherever, work environment, began with microfinance, affiliate of World Vision.
Right.
Went to an NGO briefly, like I passed by. But as I pursued other things, went to Chevron before it left the Ugandan market.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
And then finally in the bank.
Wow.
I exited to pursue my passion.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
So really, it's again more banking and energy, microfinance. But I think I really loved my last bit of work with a bank because it was, yes, it's money, but my role was into business development and strategic planning, which really exposed me to, you know, almost high-end kind of guys. So you were thinking strategically for the bank, which direction do we go?
Wow.
And I actually realized that there is more to life than the pursuit of money.
Yeah, absolutely. So you decided, no, I'm going to pursue my career,
my passion.
My passion.
Yes.
Right. And make your passion your career, actually, right?
Incidentally, it didn't come out like that, because for me, many things led to where I am today. I remember when I was in the bank, somehow I attracted media attention. I don't know how, but you know how media people are looking out for different things. So according to them, they hadn't seen any person with albinism who had reached that level as a bank manager, as in really either society expectation or whatever they did, they're like, So I remember coming to the African Woman magazine, for those who remember. It's an old magazine, really, but it opened up a certain space for me, and I realized, okay, I think I'm blessed, more blessed not to give back. So for me, it was that, and a seed had been sown along my career path when I worked with the NGO, and felt like, okay, there are people in life who struggle with issues which are not their own making.
Exactly.
Not that we make all the problems, but then, I mean, for instance, a child born with hydrocephalus, you know? So that for me, even as on my pursuit and all this, left a mark. Now when this happened and one thing led to another, I said, you know what? I think my people need me.
So you founded an organization. Can you tell us a little bit about the organization?
I founded an organization called Albinism Umbrella. And even the name itself, because I felt an umbrella is a covering. We even have a logo which has a mom, dad, and kids in between. They are holding this umbrella. It came from a desire to organize. At the time, that is, the idea came like in 2015, 2017, fully registered, you know. At the time, there were so many atrocities against people with albinism. And I'm thinking, okay, I think even when I have struggled in my life, but perhaps there are people who have really struggled more than me. One of the best things that really hit me hard is the right to life. I'm like, how dumb can some people be? And I'm not apologetic about that. You want to take somebody's life for your own selfish interest, to be rich, because you think when you sacrifice someone, you'll be rich. So that with a few friends, actually there was a doctor Okot, then another friend called Josias. They knew, they had the medical, the science and all this. I had read a bit. And with albinism, I was in my space. I actually just saw one boy in my school. I was always alone and all this, with the different stigmas and all that. So I said, well, I really think we need to get organized. So for me, it was, we need to get organized. To have a voice. To have a voice. And this was amplified by the UN declaring a day. I'm like, there we go.
That was a nice boost as well for your initiative and campaigns and that. Wow, okay. So I suppose maybe where we start is helping us learn a little bit more about the most common myths and, you know, stigmas that people in Uganda have when it comes to, you know, albinism. What are people's beliefs? And, you know, I mean, I've heard about some of them, but not a lot. And I must also say here that we came together because a mutual friend introduced us after he found out that my siblings are also people with albinism. So I have my sister, my only sister, and one of my brothers. And so that was a really strong connection.
Interesting.
And of course, growing up, we know some of the issues, but it's a different experience, you know, when you experience things firsthand. So true. Interestingly, I tell people quite often, and I don't get tired of telling people what albinism is. Medically proved, scientifical and everything. It's genetics. So it's both parents that have the gene and they have a child with albinism. Both parents, the mother and the father. So when Olive is born in Uganda, and the beliefs are more negative, unfortunately. So it is believed to be a woman's problem.
Oh, wow. This woman, my infidelity came in, and I think you had a white person.
Oh, wow.
Two, we did research with the UN, like we did a situation analysis in Uganda, and it was found that every tribe in this country has a myth about albinism. So you can imagine like 52 plus.
So they are kind of somewhat different myths.
Yes, but those universal ones I call them universal because like every tribe, I don't know if our grandparents or ancestors, what they didn't know, they would try to explain it away. For instance, people with albinism don't die. What a myth. They just disappear.
They just disappear.
You're like, okay, can we get to the basics? The characteristics of a living thing. So this myth has been carried on from generations. I have one of my friends who lives somewhere in Kasangati who used to pray that she would not disappear in the night. She grew up with her grandmother and she's being told, you know, you're not fully human, so one day you'll disappear. And when it rains, especially at night, she's like, God, I pray, don't disappear in this rain. Now, such myths are so bad, and they are told to the children. The other myths that are so bad is like we are ghosts. Again,
Wow.
we have magical powers. So most of these things, people do not understand. Two dark-skinned parents producing a child, quote unquote, who is white.
Yeah.
So they want to explain it, and it brings a lot of social outcast.
Yeah.
That even as a couple, quite often the fathers are like, oops, that's not my child, and they leave. Myths like, very absurd, that when you have a carnal knowledge with a person or a woman with albinism, you get cured of HIV/AIDS. Our girls have been raped, very poor, most of us illiterate. Someone is like, can I test out this myth? And some of them have got HIV/AIDS. As a result of that. Myths of we see well in the dark. And I mean, how ironic can that be?
Yeah, yeah.
Some of them are laughable because now I'm like, how dare people really pass on this, you know? And just go a little bit back about the myth about disappearing.
Yeah.
I've been in this space and I seek knowledge, both research and otherwise. But being Ugandan, oral history and, you know, getting back, I was privileged to go to a district called Manafa, is in eastern Uganda. Okay. There is a high population of people with albinism there. So we would go to, you know, the district and I should say by chance, I landed on an elder. Yeah. So we are chatting and it's like, you know what happened here? There is a river, I think Manava River or something, that back then, when a couple had a child with albinism, of course they didn't want to tell the neighbors. There would be an outcast, but in case they knew, keep the secret. You know, this child is kept indoors, never taken to hospital, never taken to school, like you be indoors. Should fate befall you and you get sick or die, they throw you in the river in the night and they say, she disappeared. Wow. So for me, I was like, that makes sense. Because they didn't want that social stigma surrounding it and the things of the ghosts, they would explain it away that this person died. And I mean, disappeared. You know?
They went and maybe that's when one of the places that thing came from, that, oh, people just disappear.
I am convinced that that could explain it.
Wow, wow, wow. That is just incredible. And you know, to realize that even today, with so much information available, that level of misconception and stigma still exists. It's really, you know, crazy. So as an advocate and a mentor, you're obviously, you know, working with a lot of, you know, families and young people and even older people with albinism. What do you find to be the key struggles that children and their parents, you know, deal with in particular around getting access to resources and support as they would with any other child, but now they have a situation where people don't understand. What have you seen, and do you have any examples you can share?
The examples are quite many because I painted a picture that when this child is born, quite often the parents are in shock. If the dad, especially the dad, but even the moms, by the way, because at times we forget that yes, you've carried this baby 9 months and giving birth is not an easy thing. So it's so traumatic, and then you have this child who is different and they're bringing all manner of accusations on you. My own mother has her story. So either the family is broken there, and then you may land in the hands of an auntie or grandmother, you know, so acceptance is hard. So this child who is not welcomed in this family, even getting to school is a big hurdle. You know, albinism has a few health challenges, and I call them few. Because yes, our skin burns in the sun, it's bad. We would dress up like hijabs and everything. 2, we are very short-sighted. So those people who have tried to put us to school with our numbers in school, quite often our families are really poor. So this child sits behind, they cannot see, they are bullied, the children are like, but why is your skin different? They pinch you, you know? Before you know it, they drop out of school. The parent is frustrated. You're going to school, come back. You imagine like a 4-year-old walking under the sun. Not many homes are able to do maybe a school bus or anything.
Or buy the sunscreen, which is quite expensive.
Do they even know about the sunscreen? At that level, they don't even know about it. Or the best that we've done, advocate, they have the wide-brimmed hats. Maybe that's, I mean, all lots of stigma. So education is very, very fundamental, a right that is denied. But even health. I've been shocked. You go to the medical facilities where you think science should be home. Hey, the medics, they will shock you.
They also shock you.
They're like, that skin I can't touch. Can I even inject you? Blah, blah, blah.
Really?
Oh, yeah. For
These
those
are medical professionals thinking and doing that. Wow.
Some of them think...
They have a big way to go.
A big way to go. Some of them think when you say Olive, send her to the skin clinic. And I'm like, hey, today it's malaria. Go to Dr. So-and-so.
Wow.
So, social services are, quote unquote, a big luxury for us. Like you strive so much, even in spaces. I mean, even if you can speak out, at times you find this wall, especially like expectant mothers. Mothers with albinism. It's rough. It's rough. So the nurse is like, like, how did you become pregnant? As if there's another process anyway.
Wow.
Like, for you are not entitled to, you know, childbearing. Services are hard to come by.
Sure. Wow. And I mean, that's why this conversation is so important. Because we don't realize the depth of the difficulties.
Absolutely.
And of course, now thinking about all of this, and now thinking about mental health, you know, I think there's so many examples, right?
Very many.
Denied access to basics, being discriminated, being bullied, all of those are precursors for difficulties. Can you speak a bit more about that from your experience?
My experience.
Personal or other people that you know that have gone through difficulties on the mental health side?
I would really, and this is a general statement, but I've come to realize that quite a number of people with albinism, it's a bold statement, but we have issues mentally. Why? The stigma can go to not only outside, but there's a lot of self-stigma. You meet Dr. Rita, and in my head I'm already saying she's thinking I'm dumb. She's going to abuse me. She thinks, you know? Then too, because we come from families where there's a lot of neglect, I've spoken to parents, or not even myself, because some of them hide. We work with different people. And then when we go to this family and you ask maybe a father, how many children do you have? I have 3. And, you know, a person with albinism is, and, you know, or at times they don't even say, they just say, I have 3.
Really?
And maybe it's something else, you know. So now you imagine this child who is, because I call it torture. Why wouldn't you allow me to go out and play with other children? I am not ashamed to say that we did a research right here in Mukono. And do you know who we sent? A doctor with albinism. We have one. And as an organization, we look out for the success stories, the positive energy to let people know that you can do it.
Absolutely.
Sent Dr. Isaac, he's working with Nakasero Hospital. To, I mean, he also works in Mukono Health Center. This is his word. There are people or children with albinism in fences who are not allowed to come out. Or the neighbor says, don't say I told you, but there is one there.
Wow.
Yes, they are hidden. So you imagine this child who is either locked up in a room, quote unquote, you may say the affluent family, but in between there, there are mental challenges. Why wouldn't you allow this? And then the few that we've really pushed into the space, some of them have gotten some basic education.
Yeah.
You go to apply for a job and they're like, you see, I don't think we can afford you. Others have been exploited, especially in nursery teaching, and they don't pay them. I have a case somewhere again in SETA of a young girl who did, education is a struggle, so she got basic nursing techniques. And then the head teacher is like, hey, who brought this one here? You chase our parents or our children, as in, get out of here.
Wow.
So the stigma, the mental strength, even for a child to handle certain things is a lot. And even as I interact with some, there is, I may not be a doctor, but for me, I look at someone and you really think something is not right. And then they can't say what it is. But if you begin having albinism and I speak to them, you begin to sense there is a devoid somewhere. They've not been heard, they've sent to their grandparents. In case they're in school, people choose for them what they want to do. There are things they think you cannot do. For you, I mean, when I was growing up, they're like, but for you, your profession is teaching. And I'm like, who said?
Who said? Who said?
What else can you do? You have to be a teacher. I'm saying, who said? Like, until you have some stubbornness, quote unquote. But many are given a favor. You know? So you are pushed into something because, man, you are like a second-class citizen. So whatever they throw at you, go. So we have many mental issues right from the parents. Because you look at this mother who should have joy, they've had a child, and then this child is the cause of trauma. Look at a father who doesn't know why this woman has this baby. And the village is like, hey, so and so has a child like this. You know, the ego and everything. And then there is a lot of narrative about something happened. They displeased the gods. They went to witches. They want to be rich. Many things. So for me, the mental issues are so deep. And many times we just look at the physical needs. And there is a child actually who was denied access to a section, a boarding school. This is a couple that has, for now, they have 3 or 4 with albinism. And they have 1 child without albinism. They've stayed together, kudos, because not many do. So this is their first child. So they go to school and they are denied access on grounds of albinism. With all that can surround, the parents are struggling to pay school fees. Quite often we forget the child at the center of this battle. This child was traumatized even when they got her another school. But we realized that even 2 years later, that trauma existed.
Absolutely. So there's what I'm hearing is such a need to provide a holistic support to people.
Absolutely.
And particularly pay attention to mental health because it's often neglected.
Very. Because stigma for us is so high. Our esteem is so low because you have been told and trampled on. This is your place. You can't go beyond this. It's like you don't have a mind of your own. We need to think for you. You know, for you, this is it. And you're like, okay, for me, because you are different.
Wow. This is so, enlightening for me as well. Even though, like I said, my siblings, you know, we've grown up like this, but I think the difference, obviously, I can say that having my parents were both educated, you know, they had all education degrees, and they were teachers, so they understood things and they were able to protect these children in a different way. But then again, grew up in an urban environment, not in a rural environment.
Yes.
And I think what you're explaining is so telling of the vastness of the problem. So coming to your work now as an advocate, what are some of the things that you feel need to happen to make a difference in the lives of people who are dealing with these challenges, whether they are the parents or the child themselves, or the adult person with albinism and facing a whole lot of discrimination? What do we need to do different?
I believe what we need to do different is, one, to accept diversity.
Right. Very important.
Because acceptance for me is at the core of a solution.
Yeah.
You know? And I tell my own people with albinism, and at Albinism Umbrella we have what we've called self-awareness and self-acceptance.
Right.
When you are aware of who you are, like olive will not turn to have a dark color, you know, please accept what you can't change, be aware, and move on, okay? Two, as humans, may we be empathetic, you know? Because yes, we throw and we have many beliefs and all this, but can you try to unblock, there is this term, we've learned so much, but we need to unlearn.
Yeah, unlearn certain things.
We need to unlearn things. We need to question. And I mean, culture is not bad, but there's certain things that have been passed on, we need to unlearn.
Yeah, absolutely.
We need to be inclusive. That term may seem to have lost meaning in some spaces, but inclusivity is accepting diversity.
Right.
Tolerance, you know? And then knowing that even as you feel you have a right to certain things, so does the other person.
Exactly. Wow. That is really powerful. That is really powerful. I suppose now, in closing, I think we need another podcast, first of all, another episode, because there's so much to talk about. But I think with what you've spoken already, given a lot of insights on the issues, and for the viewer out there, you know, we all have a role, right? Everybody has a role to play in this thing.
That's so true.
Yeah. What would you say to the people listening? They might be coming in from different perspectives.
Oh yeah.
And I want you to speak specifically to also to the people with albinism to understand the mental health issue.
Yes.
The Toliweka story. You know, like.
Toliweka. So, our dear listeners and viewers, I keep telling us, know the truth and pass it on.
Yeah.
Know that truth. So the truth is, albinism is genetic.
Yeah.
My fellow people with albinism, the world doesn't hate you, so don't do self-stigma, because that blocks a lot. Not everybody is your enemy. Do not blame yourself for being different, because therein is a challenge. Why am I like this? Why certain questions don't have answers?
In this thing.
I'm a believer in God, so that was God's will.
Yeah.
Our dear policymakers, please be inclusive. Let them make policies. Parliament, we've been there. You know, education, health, those two social services.
Yeah.
Let's train our teachers. Let's train our nurses. That I mean, we can do this. I'll end with something about you, the community.
Yeah.
We had a pandemic 2-3 years ago. Quote unquote in Uganda, it was from the Chinese, from the whites. We're stigmatized. You were the Bazungus who have brought COVID.
Oh, really?
Some 2 people with albinism were thrown out of a taxi, like, get out. So we are saying, hey, people, let's get the right news, the right information. Seek information. Information is power. be the change that you want to see.
Amen. So well said. Thank you so much, Olive. I think we have to do more and more of this.
A lot of
I think that, like you said, your people needed you, in your words, but we need you, and we also need to join the cause to find ways to support and increase awareness. And the more people come out and people can see that, no, actually, these are the facts, but there is support out there, and where we're providing mental health services, we really need people to also come out and access those services so that they can be helped. And we can start addressing the challenges. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Welcome, pleasure.
And I wish you all the best in your advocacy.
Thank you
and we shall
very
definitely be partnering with you to continue the support.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.